Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on the live action remakes of classic Disney animated movies that they make in like live action. This will only mostly just pertain to that Disney makes. So if another live action movie is based on like a fairy tale novel that wasn't like based off the Disney animated movie, then I won't be talking about it. And I'll only be talking about really the ones that I've actually seen and stuff like that. And after I do this intro, I need to go look on the internet and see if that Snow White one was an actual Disney movie or not. Like Snow White and the Huntsman. I remember I saw that, and I'm not sure if that was a Disney one or not. I have to go back and look. But anyways, right before I got rid of my Disney Plus thing, I started watching like the Lion King movie because I haven't seen it, the live action one, right? Because I've always wanted to see it. I wanted to see what the world people was talking about when they talk about like the facial expressions and how it's just like the animated movie, nothing's different, and stuff like that. And I also wanted to see the Cruella movie because I really wanted to see that. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Emma Stone. And so, like, as I was watching both movies, I watched Cruella in full. I stopped with The Lion King, and I didn't even care my subscription ended. I just didn't care no more because I just couldn't finish the rest of that movie. And it just started to dawn on me when I started thinking about other live action adaptations that I saw, like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. Is just, they're not particularly good. They're not 100% terrible by no means, but it's just something these movies are missing. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's creativity. I don't know, like, if it's like a pacing issue. I don't know. It's because, like, the animated movie is so fresh in people's minds and so loved and everything, but they seem to be missing that Disney magic, that spark. There is something about Disney animation that is so breathtaking. I'm talking about the ones back in the day. I ain't talking about all the CGI ones and stuff. That's like a different like era of Disney. I'm talking about the classics, the hand-drawn animation, the gloss to like the animation, this otherworldly feel when you look at the animation. Stuff that came out like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and yes, the 90s and stuff. I'm talking about the good old ones like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, The Lion King, because Aladdin and The Lion King are my all two like number one favorite Disney like animated movies. And I really enjoyed the Return of Jafar movie, the sequel to Aladdin, and Simba's Pride, the sequel to the first Lion King. Now the third sequel, not so much. King of Thieves was alright, but that little Lion King 1.5 crap, I wanted to throw up so bad when I saw that mess. They ruined the Lion King in my opinion. And so like, the last probably animated Disney movie I've ever probably watched and owned is that of Lilo and Stitch, the first one. Everything that came after Lilo and Stitch, I just didn't like in terms of Lilo and Stitch. I didn't like the sequel movies. I didn't like the television series, none of that crap. So, like, I don't know. Like I said before, it's just these live action adaptations are missing some type of magical feel that the animation has. Like when I went back and rewatched The Little Mermaid, remember how I said I was grossed out back when I was a kid and I used to watch that, but the little cartoon series that it was based off it like made me like The Little Mermaid and stuff. When I rewatched it, I realized one reason why I was so grossed out. There's something odd with the animation. It's like this fluidity with the animation. It's like even when she's on land, like the way her facial expressions, the way her hair moves, the glossiness of the old grain animation, there's just something unjarring about it, but almost realistic and magical and everything. And when it comes to these Disney animated movies, they're not original, they're based off of fairy tales, but they put their own Disney spin to it. They add their own characters and stuff, and they add music to it, like a musical. And so, like, this is what I've been saying for the longest time, and I did my whole 4 R's of Hollywood reboots and remakes and stuff like that. If you make a reboot of something, it's gonna be hard to please people because you got some people who's all like, well, it should be exactly like the source material, and then you got other people saying, well, it should be completely different from the source material. So you're gonna both win and you're both gonna lose at the same time. And the question is, what do you do? Do you make it similar to the original source material? Do you make it completely different, or do you combine both? Like, do you base it off of the original source material, but then add some new stuff here and there? For the most part, that's what a lot of these live action movie remakes are doing. They're keeping to the source material, but adding little new stuff here and there, and then switching some things around where some scenes happen that's supposed to happen much later in the movie happen earlier. And I just don't know what it is. It's like when I watch these live action movies, and I see like the cast and everything, and I see the animation, the CGI, and I see everything brought to life. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, at first, I'm all thrilled and excited because, back in the day, I've always wanted a live action Lion King. I've always wanted a live action Aladdin. Now that I got them, I don't like them. And it's not because I'm bitter or I'm always so negative, nothing like that. It's just there's something missing from those live action movies. I just not quite sure what it is, to be honest. And because I think maybe sometimes some things just work better in animation, that when it's duplicated into live action, it's just certain things not necessarily don't feel realistic. Well, yeah, 'cause you do expect it to be realistic. See, that's the thing. You expect it to be realistic. And so when it's so goofy and silly, like the cartoon movies and stuff, because that's the thing about the Disney adaptations. When they adapt these novels and these books and stuff, these fairy tales, they make them as silly and goofy as they can. So when you see that in live action, it's just kind of like, why are you acting so stupid? And stuff. Or it's kind of, my arm hurts, my bad. I got a pinch in it. And so then it's like, the performances, sometimes they're not always there. That's another thing that's been bugging me about a lot of these live action adaptations and stuff, is that the performance isn't always there. Because they bringing in some new faces mixed in with some old faces, and it's just like some people's acting's really good and some people's acting's a little flat and a little off and everything. And then it's the motives of the characters. They're slightly tweaked and everything. And it's kind of like, well, that's not how that character was in the animated thing. So they're trying to make it better, more mature and everything, but it's not really coming off that well. Like in Aladdin, okay, I'll get into these individually and stuff, but it's just like their personalities are tweaked a little bit, And then you get to like Cruella de Vil, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what exactly made her evil? And then so as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. That don't make sense. That really don't make no sense. And, then it's like the Lion King with the CGI. That CGI was impressive. My God, it looked like everything on that thing looked real. But it wasn't. Everything was CGI. But I'm still calling it a live action adaptation. And so it's just kind of like, their faces. My God, there was no expression. And Disney is now have heard the complaints, because in case you haven't noticed, there really hasn't been a live action adaptation in a good while. Pinocchio is the newest one to come out, and then the Little Mermaid, I don't even know if they even started filming that yet, but it's still in the works and everything. But Pinocchio, the trailer just came out. I haven't watched it yet, but I noticed that Pinocchio's face has a lot of expression. He basically looks like he was ripped straight from like the animated movie and stuff. And I'm glad he has expression on his face, unlike the Lion King. But I think it's a little too expressionate. It's a little too cartoonish. They need to find a good blend. They need to find that good mix between realism and animation, silliness and stuff. Then there's the songs and the music. Not everybody can sing. You would think they would get somebody who can both sing and act, or at least somebody who could sing, but they don't. They mostly get these famous stars who are very tone deaf and everything. And they have to like enhance it with audio and something. You can tell when they do that sometimes. And then it's just kind of like, I just don't know, man. It's just like, because the problem is if you get like a singer, well, a lot of singers can't act. That's the problem. So that's why you have to find an actor or actress or whatever who can both act and sing. Then you will be like really having no problems and stuff. Now they do at times create brand new characters to add more nuance to like the story. I don't know if that's working for me only because that person wasn't in the anime. I mean, if they can make it work, like Urchin from the Little Mermaid TV series, then fine. But so far, these characters are mostly just background characters, and they don't do much, and they're just inserted into the movie for like one random stupid plot. So if they would have had more of a presence, that would have been totally fine. And then it's kind of weird because as I was watching The Lion King, I'm all like, well, this happened exactly like the animated movie, yet this live action movie is a whole lot longer than the animated movie. So where did this extra footage come from? Because so far, as I'm watching it, everything seems to be on point and everything. And, then there's like the Lion King voice cast. Not everybody did it for me. I don't know. Maybe it was just because I'm so used to hearing those voices. Like, I don't know. But I'm not going to do a review on none of these movies. I'm just going to point out certain little things that just didn't do it for me and stuff. And the reason why I don't like these live action adaptations. So let's probably start with the first one I saw. Alice in Wonderland. That came out in 2010, believe it or not. So it's been 12 years. And because it's been 12 years, and I've only seen it one time, honestly, I don't remember much of anything about it. I do remember liking it for the most part, but feeling kind of weird every now and then. Now, this was directed by Tim Burton, and it's a darker take on it, as much of his other properties like Dumbo and everything. Dumbo did not do well. I did not see Dumbo, so therefore I can't talk about it. And so, but with Alice in Wonderland, I remember I was being very intrigued when I saw this movie. Like the way she would drink like the little potion thing, and the way she drunk it was just so eerie and weird. Like you could feel some strange eeriness in your soul when you watched it, and it just felt like I could feel it. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's the magic that Tim Burton has, or used to have. Hopefully he can bring it in Wednesday on Netflix. And so like I remember for the most part liking this. Like I know Johnny Depp was in this, Helen Broha Carter. I know and no, what's her name? Anne Hathaway was in this. Those are the people names I really remember. And so, I was a fan of all theirs and everything. I still don't know who plays Snow White. And I just remember this being like very, very interesting. But it had like, but the main standout character was the Mad Hatter, played by Johnny Depp. So it's mostly feel like it's really his movie than it is Snow White. And that's kind of the problem I had with it. It was more like his, because he was like a breakout star. He stole the whole show, kind of like Shawn Michaels with Sweet Chin Music and everything, And so like, I just remember like not really paying that much attention to her and stuff. Because for the most part, she is a bit of an afterthought, but she does go on this very unique and interesting journey. And I do like how they made her more like empowered and stuff. What I didn't like is that she's older and everything. And because it's like, this is her returning back to like, God, where's that land called again? Where's that located? Mad Hatter, the Rabbit, Snow White, Wonderland. Because Because they showed in the beginning she went to Wonderland when she was little, and then she went back again when she was an adult. And it was kind of weird and odd. So it's not really based off of, like, the animated movie, which is kind of okay and kind of not, you know what I'm saying? Because you kind of want to see that adaptation from the older animated movie. But I do remember her being a lot more stronger and stuff. I never saw the sequel. I can't remember in this movie or the sequel. I think she puts on body armor and I think she goes into battle. I might have thinking that or that Huntsman movie, Snow White. Which Snow White and the Huntsman is not Disney, it's Universal. So there's no point in talking about that. And no, I did not like that movie either. Kristen Stewart cannot act. I'm sorry, she is wooden. She's about as wooden as Cara Delevingne and everything. And so with this movie, I actually really don't have a problem. The only problem I really kind of have is like the Queen of Spades, how her head is so big. I didn't like the gothness of Anne Hathaway's looking character. It was kind of like creepy and kind of like took me out. But for the most part, it was a pretty interesting movie. It just didn't really do it for me. Like, it didn't make me jump up and down, make me want to like watch it again or buy it on DVD. And because even though it was interesting and it had that Tim Burton charm, it just didn't have that Disney flair, that Disney magic to it that made me want to just like come back over and over and over again to it, because it's literally forgettable out of my head. The next is like Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson. And I love myself some Emma Watson. That's the only reason why I watched that movie. And so, like, I don't even remember nothing about this movie, and it came out in 2017. And that's like, what, 6 years and stuff? And so, like, that's kind of embarrassing for me. Now, I do remember one thing I hated the most with this movie was the CGI faces. The CGI faces on, like, all, like, the like cups and plates and what's the thing, the dude with the candlestick dude. The candlestick dude did not look good at all. His CGI was bad in that. He was too shiny, he was too animated looking, he didn't feel real at all. But the worst, most outrageous thing ever was the Beast CGI face. That was some terrible CGI, and this was 2017. There should have been no excuses whatsoever for how bad that face looked. And now we know Disney rushes their CGI projects, their VFX, and they don't and they work their like VFX people to death. But this is before they started rushing all these Disney Plus projects for like Marvels. What was their excuse in 2017? And for the most part, Emma Watson, as much as I love her to death, is not a very good singer. And even the song, Be Our Guest, which I love that animated song so much, I did not care for this version of the movie. In fact, there's a YouTuber, I forget his name, I think it's Jonathan. He wears a beanie, he has a beard, he's a little bit of a hipster, he does like heavy metal rock. He did a better cover of this song than the people in the actual movie. But the fact that I can't remember nothing about this movie is jarring. All I know is that they did make Belle a little bit more empowered. But it don't make no sense because she still suffers from Stockholm syndrome, in my opinion. Like, she is a prisoner of the Beast and everything, and she still falls in love with him. It's kind of like Once Upon a Time. Now, I like that version of Belle and Once Upon a Time, the TV series. I like that. They changed the Beast up to that of like Rumpelstiltskin. I like that, but even she still has like Stockholm syndrome, you know what I'm saying? But with him, at least us viewers can understand why he is the way he is and everything when we see his backstory. So it's mostly just them falling in love with each other and her understanding, along as us understanding, because they made him sympathetic and everything. But I just don't know, man. And so let's go to the next movie I saw, Aladdin. And this is the one that really pissed me off because I'm a huge Aladdin fan. I love Aladdin to death. Both Aladdin and Jasmine don't look like teenagers in this. They look like grown adults. Heck, the dude who plays Aladdin even has a beard. And they couldn't even get his look right and everything. Aladdin is supposed to be a street rat. He is poor. He is homeless in the animated series. You can tell this. He has no shirt. He just wears a vest. He has a patch on his pants. You saw none of that in like the live action adaptation. There's no patch. He has a shirt on. He doesn't even look that poor. In the animated movie, Aladdin doesn't steal to help people out. He's no Robin Hood. He steals to survive. That is the point of the song and everything. He steals so he can eat. And then when he gives bread, after he steals the bread, after nearly getting killed in the animated series, he gives his bread away to these people who are poorer than him because they're little kids, and he feels sorry for them because he knows what it's like to live on the street. This dude is just like basically just like Robin Hood. He steals from the rich and gives to the poor, and that is not the same thing. So, and the thing I also remember is the reason why, like the one thing that always creeped me out was Jafar always wanting to marry the princess. That was just always weird in the animated thing. But and here he has an agenda. He wants to like conquer some land that I think that was taken from his people or something like that. So they try to make him sympathetic, but you don't want to be sympathetic to Jafar. Jafar is supposed to be one of the most evilest Disney villains of all time. You're not supposed to want to root for him, but then he still ends up being bad in like the movie. There was no chemistry with like none of these characters, Jafar and Jasmine, Jafar and Aladdin. The Sultan was not a bumbling idiot in this movie. They tried to make him more competent. The reason for him being so bumbling and stupid is one, just for Disney humor in the cartoon, but two, it shows that he's not very good at his job and he's the Sultan, and like that's how Jafar was able to manipulate him so easily. And then when you see somebody who is competent like both Aladdin and Jasmine, it makes sense for them to want to take over because their dad is or her dad's an idiot and everything. And so like, and in the movie he's not. Iago was a huge disappointment in the movie. I was expecting him to be loud and foul mouth and everything like that, and he was basically just like a parrot type bird. And they changed some things around where instead of like the giant snake that's like very imposing because Jafar turns himself into a giant snake, instead he just makes Iago really big and flies around, and that doesn't have the same feel to it as Jafar trying to chomp people as a snake and everything, and Aladdin trying to stand up to him with just a sword. And so, now I like how Jasmine still had her spitfire to her like, and how like, how she doesn't take crap from nobody. I really like that. Her reasons for wanting to run away made no sense in the movie as opposed to the animated movie. And then there is her assistant that serves no purpose other than just being crammed in for Will Smith storyline that's very brief and everything. And now and then the songs didn't do it for me either. A lot of these people couldn't sing as well as like the movie, so that always bugged me. Apu didn't really do much in this movie, and he looked like crap. And now we get into the genie. First things first, I did not like the new design of the lamp. I love the classic lamp. The classic lamp is gorgeous. You can find it on Amazon. It is amazing. The genie, Will Smith, the genie. Now, I gotta admit, Will Smith was the best thing in this movie. He has so much charisma. He saved the entire movie, but he didn't save it by much. Will Smith was just being his charming, charismatic self, and he did it all in his regular human form. You rarely saw him in his genie form and everything. Not to mention, Will Smith can't sing. Will Smith cannot sing. He can barely rap. And then when he did rap in there, it was all right, but still, it was barely anything. But Will Smith cannot sing, and he has some big musical numbers, and those big musical numbers are some of my favorite in the animated movie, and I feel like they were butchered in this movie. And I still don't like the fact that even though he was charismatic, he still wasn't as hilarious or funny as Robin Williams, the genie, or Homer Simpson's the genie. And then they had this little thing at towards the end where he marries like Jasmine's assistant and makes babies by her. And it's supposed to be a sequel, but so far there's no confirmation since they said it was greenlit and stuff. And that's been years ago. And this movie just didn't do it for me like at all. And it really pissed me off because I wanted this to be the biggest Disney live action movie of them all, and it wasn't. It is my all-time favorite. I love the movies. I love the animated series. Aladdin is just awesome and everything. And the dude who played Aladdin, his performance was just kind of and he's complaining that he's not getting much work after doing this. There's a reason for it, dude. And you know, even Jasmine, even though I did like her Spitfire in this, even her acting wasn't that great. The actress who plays her, she's been in 3 movies that I know of, 2 I've seen, and she doesn't really do it for me all that much. Plus, it was kind of jarring that she was so light skinned because she's half white and half like I think Indian or something like that. And so it was just weird seeing her so lightly colored skin, but she's gorgeous and everything. It's just her acting just always kind of like for me, you know what I'm saying? Like she's been in 2 flops and 1 movie that didn't necessarily bomb. It just underperformed. Well, it didn't really underperform. It just didn't do it for a lot of people. So it was Power Rangers, the 2017 movie. Then it was the new Charlie's Angels that bombed. And then it's this movie that's just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, this really, really, really chapped my you know what. Next is Cruella. Now, I love 101 Dalmatians. I've never seen the original live action movie. I've never seen none of the sequels to the animated movies. I've never seen the cartoon series, but I remember loving the first movie. And so this was like a prequel, like an origin story of Cruella. What made her so evil? That's the thing. She's probably the most evil out of all the Disney villains because she kills animals and wears their skin as like coats and stuff. She wants to kill a bunch of little puppies just to make a coat. That is about as evil as it can be. So what in the world made her evil? Even till this day, I still don't know, and I watched the movie. When she's a little girl, she's a bad little girl from the start and everything. She's always getting in trouble at school because she's always getting picked on or she's starting fights. Probably because of her hair. Her hair is half black, half white. I assume she would have just like, dyed it, but no, she was born that way. And so what really caused her to be like a little brat growing up? Well, not really sure. Anyways, she's getting chased, like she's being hard-headed like always. She's getting chased by like Dalmatians. She ducks down, the Dalmatians jump over her, and they knock her mom over a cliff. So we assume that's what caused her to be evil, you know what I'm saying? And it caused her to hate Dalmatians and everything. But it's not. See, it turns out in the movie, that's not even her real mom. It's like her adoptive mom. Her real mom was the lady talking to her, the evil lady the whole time. And it turns out that the evil lady blew her little dog whistle, and that's what caused the dogs to come towards her and knock them off. And she still doesn't even turn evil because of that. Instead, she wants revenge, but on her real mom. But she's been wanting revenge on her mom throughout the start of this movie because her real mom's this fashion designer and doesn't like her stuff that well. She does like her stuff, but her the necklace that her real mom has, she's all like, that's my mother's necklace, her adoptive mother. She's like, no, she stole it from me. So that would cause her to want to go on revenge and hurt this lady. But she hurts her in a way of fashion. See, She works for this lady in fashion. Oh, before I get into that, she's also a thief. When her mom died, she met her two bumbling idiots, and they was like friends growing up. So they steal a bunch of stuff. This movie's really silly. It's really goofy. And so, like, they grow up, and then she starts working for her, but then she changes her identity. And then, when she gets mad about the whole necklace, she decides she's gonna start calling herself Cruella, which is not her real name. And then she's gonna start, like, embarrassing this lady by making all this, like, amazing, like, gowns and everything like that, and doing all this weird type stuff to get, like, attention, and it pisses the lady off. And so, then, out of nowhere, I think Mark Strong, I think that's his name. He was useless in this movie. What the point in getting a big name actor like that just to have him just give a little dialogue? And he pretty much just says, "Oh, your real mom is the lady you hate," and blah 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 blah, and and it's just like he randomly tells her that, and somehow he knows who she is and stuff. So now this makes her wants to do more revenge. She sets her mom up, and it was just a pointless origin story. Like it was nicely acted. Everybody did a good job acting, but it was just like a pointless origin story. Like they never proved what caused her to be evil. So then all of a sudden after that, now she kind of wants to be like evil and everything. But why? What really caused her to be that way? Nothing whatsoever. She's been bad since the start, and it's kind of like. But now all of a sudden she wants to be cruel and evil and kill these. And then not only that, but when she did, because see, she stole the lady's Dalmatians, her mom. And her mom thought she killed them and made a coat out of them. She didn't. And so it's kind of like she didn't even do that. That's her whole purpose in like the animated movie. So it was pointless and it was wasted. And they tried to make her in some type of anti-hero. But she's not supposed to be an anti-hero. She is supposed to be a villain. And so they totally dropped the ball with that character and everything. Now, I haven't seen Maleficent. I can't say that. But she's an anti-hero on those too. And it's just like, why? She's a villain. Now we get to the most atrocious one of them all, the Lion King. I appreciate the CGI. CGI looks great. It looks amazing. You got to rock and roll to it. You know what I'm saying? The CGI made them look real. Problem. The faces have no expression on them. They're dull, they're boring. And because the animated movie is like literally glued inside my brain where I can remember how things are supposed to sound and how scenes are supposed to be, because they have no expression on their faces, it makes it jarring. It makes it boring to the way you don't want to watch. And I started playing on my tablet. And as I'm just listening to it, and I'm just kind of like, God, give them some expression in the faces. They don't have to be cartoonish, but they need something. You know what I'm saying? Like they need something. It's too realistic and everything. And when it comes to the voice cast, no, I'm not happy with them. Some of them do sound like their animated counterparts, but they don't give the emotional depth as in the array of emotion as like their animated voices did. And it's kind of like they know what these scenes sound like, so why aren't they giving it their all? They're just being themselves and being bland and boring and everything. Now the dude who did Little Simba, he was cool and everything, but it's kind of like with no expression on the face, his performance just felt weak and everything. And so like a lot of these characters didn't even really act too much like the way they did in the movies. Scar was not that intimidating. Scar didn't even have an alliance with the hyenas. He started one in this movie. As opposed to one of the big shockers of the animated movies that he's been working with the hyenas the entire time. Now, the actor who plays Scar, I'm a huge fan, but he was boring in this. It's like he didn't want to be there. And so, like, then there's Chauncey, I think her name is. She wasn't even voiced by Whoopi Goldberg in this movie, which I don't understand why. Like, they wanted to have more representation and stuff. Well, she's black and this is Africa, and why didn't she voice that character? The lady who did voice her didn't seem all that important. And I assumed that Chauncey was going to be like, the main villain because of how like devious she was in this movie. But I don't know because I haven't finished the ending, but so far she is not. It pissed me off. I wanted Ed to be his silly, goofy self, and he didn't do none of that. Ed was just a normal character who talked. Dropped the ball with that one. The other guy, he wasn't as cool. The other hyena dude, he wasn't as cool as the one in the animated movie. And not only that, but because these lions all had the same skin tone, it took me a long time to figure out which is Simba and which is Nala. Like at times you can't tell because Simba didn't have his golden like yellowish skin like in the animated movie to tell you the difference in the tuft of hair. They both look too similar. Scar was not brown in this for some reason. That would have been nice. The scene where Mufasa dies didn't have the same impact as like the movie. The what was that, like an orangutan or something, a baboon or whatever? Yeah, the baboon. Like he was not as cool as he was in the animated movie. He barely showed any expression. The way he knew Simba was alive in the movie was like the longest journey ever. It was like the dumbest thing. I think what was it? I think tuft of like Simba's hair started flying in the wind, and we just see it flying and flying and flying for a very long time. Like it took the journey. It went hundreds of miles away. It got mixed up with a little elephant dung and some dung beetles are pushing it, and somehow it made its way to like the baboon and everything. And he wasn't even happy and excited when he found out the way he is in the animated movie. And they didn't even use the little dust that he used to draw with. They used like something else. And I'm just kind of like, why? And it just, I don't know, man. It's just like a lot of this didn't have the feels to it. Seth Rogen was boring in this. The dude who did the Pumbaa in the animated movie had so much emotion to his voice, and Seth was just being Seth. I thought Seth would have brought it because he's so silly and everything, but he didn't. Timon was boring in this. I didn't like how Timon and Pumbaa live with a colony of other animals. The idea of them is that they're loners, they're outcasts, they're supposed to just travel by themselves, and the movie messed that up. And also, I assume that we will get to see teenage Simba. Like that's something I've always wanted to see because they glossed over it in the anime movie and they glossed over it here. And as for adult Simba's voice, now I am a fan of that dude, Donald Glover and stuff, but he was just being Troy from Community. He didn't sound like adult Simba. He just sounded like his squeaky voice self, and he could play young Simba if he wanted. And he just gave a very bland like performance and everything, and I just was not feeling this movie. It didn't have that charm, it didn't have that magic, it didn't have that feel, and the songs wasn't even all that great. For whatever reason, the theme song in the beginning, like the opening song, didn't even have Elton John singing. It was some woman. And I'm just like, why not bring Elton John in? He's Elton freaking John. And stuff, you know? And it's just, this movie just didn't do it for me at all. And it broke my heart. That would cause me wanting to rant about this video and stuff. I've been wanting to see this movie for years, and now I wish I never did. And now they want to make a sequel that's supposed to be a prequel to when Mufasa and Scar were like younger, but I don't care. Scar in this was just boring and not even all that evil and stuff. So why should I even care? And it has caused Disney to rethink their stuff. Like I said before, Pinocchio has a lot of expression in his face. It's been a long time since The Lion King. I don't know actually how long, but it's been a good while since The Lion King came out, and there hasn't been no live action Disney movie since then. And now they're starting to bring them back out again, and I'm fearing for The Little Mermaid, man. Are they gonna butcher that too, I wonder? And Pinocchio, like, it's only time will tell if it'll be good or not, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I kind of wish they would stop making live action adaptations and everything, because they're just not doing them justice as like the animated like movies or even the animated series for the most part. And they're supposed to make a live action Lilo and Stitch. if they don't bring in the voice of the dude who did Stitch, then that's gonna be pointless. And I hope they bring in Tia Carrera, because I loved her in that, But she is getting older. Maybe she can just play like the older sister, like the older sister, instead of like the younger sister, or a cousin or an aunt, or something like that. And so they really need to cast people better in these movies. They really need to work on their CGI. They need to work on their singing. And they need to try to capture the voices of like the animated movies and the expressions of them. They really need to. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.